Welcome to Eternal Elements Learning Podcast brought to you by Tiasa Online. These podcasts are a part of the audio certificate programs on Tiasa Online. You're free to take these podcasts on your desired portal also, should you only wish to learn on the go. Thank you so much for engaging on these podcasts, and you can connect with the author on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Hi, this is Niket Karajagi. Welcome to Eternal Elements brought to you by Tiasa Online. We're in Season 5 talking about business excellence. So what is business excellence? We've been discussing it. These are outstanding practices in managing organizations and achieving results based on fundamental concepts and values. We said that the core values of companies are very, very important. And while they adhere to those core values, they definitely progress in terms of accelerating their growth. So business excellence is all about outstanding practices and outstanding outcomes. That's what business excellence is. Now, one of the frameworks used in business excellence is a process of benchmarking. Now, what is benchmarking all about? Benchmarking is primarily the process where you compare yourself with the standards, and you're talking about some world-class standard against which you compare yourself. Because any performance evaluated in its own isolation within the organization is not effective at all. And why isn't it effective? Because what's the point in calling yourself the best? You're going to call yourself the best when you are actually the best. And how do you find out whether you're actually the best? When you are able to compare yourself with a leader in the industry, and maybe you surpass the leader of the industry also. And that's also quite possible. Therefore, it's a continuous systematic process of evaluating companies and recognizing as an industry leader. Therefore, what are you doing? You're getting recognized as an industry leader. And if you're not an industry leader, then it's a continuous systematic process where you're evaluating your company against a recognized industry leader to determine what are the processes that you have where there are gaps and you need to work on those gaps. And that's what benchmarking is all about. So how does benchmarking happen? First, you determine the benchmark focus. Your benchmark focus can be sales. Your benchmark focus can be profits. Your benchmark focus could be return on equity. Your benchmark process could be productivity. It could be anything. You decide what you want to benchmark on. Once you determine the benchmark focus, then you plan and you do the research based on the plan. So what are you doing in the plan? Once you know what your benchmark focus is, then you plan what are those things that you're going to do so that you're going to research effectively so as to get results by which you can compare. And therefore, after you've done your planning and research, you start gathering data. Once you gather data, then you analyze the data. And after you've analyzed the data, obviously you found out where the gaps are, and then you come up with a recommendation. Now, there's no point only doing recommendation. You've got to implement those recommendations, right? And therefore, what happens is, in a benchmarking process, you compare yourself with the best in the industry. And when you compare yourself with the best in the industry, you pick up certain factors against which you want to compare yourself. And once you've taken those factors, you plan the research. And when you plan the research, you gather data, then you analyze, then you recommend, and then you implement. That's what the whole benchmarking process is all about. Why do companies benchmark? Either to increase their competitiveness or to measure performance with the best. A lot of times to implement a change. A lot of points to determine what are the standards. That could also be the determination of excellence. A lot of times you work on what are the variables on which you want to really improve. A lot of times you measure against your competitor. And a lot of times you set your credible targets based on benchmarking, because you can be a lot of times comparing the validity of your targets based on what the industry target is. What does it do for you when you're benchmarking? It also helps you in continuous learning. It helps you in continuous improvement. It helps you in continuous innovation. So benchmarking is one of the frameworks used by organizations. It was introduced by a gentleman called Deming, who was a Japanese consultant. It has been used extensively by different companies like IBM and Xerox, and it's really finding value. In fact, a lot of automotive companies tend to do a whole lot of benchmarking with the vehicles which are the best in the class in the market. And that's what benchmarking is all about. Go ahead, benchmark your businesses, decide on what factor against which you want to benchmark with an industry leader. And you can also get into a collective association with different companies, and those associations or collaborations can also do benchmarking together. That's also a great idea, but obviously there are some trade secrets against which you don't benchmark. So benchmarking has amazing results. This is Niket Karajagi from Eternal Elements signing off, and I'll be talking about a few more aspects of business excellence in the podcasts in future. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next podcast.